Good morning and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is William Austin. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Check it out. Uh, Sometimes you just have to be patient. I'm a person who it's been spoken over me that I am a patient person. And I believe that. I believe that I can wait for things to happen. Somebody, one of my students yesterday said that I have patience, and I always tell them that no, not really, not in the way they think I have patience. I just know that certain things take as long as it takes. I'm not upset when the 8 minute egg isn't done in 4 minutes. I'm not. If it's an 8 minute egg, then it takes 8 minutes. Now, if the 8 minute egg isn't ready in 35 minutes, then we've got a situation. But I'm not upset at 2.5 minutes. I'm not pacing the floor at 2 minutes for an 8 minute egg. Y'all get what I'm saying? So sometimes it takes a while for things to happen. And we've got a story that's coming that says just that. There are going to be a lot of things that came out of COVID that are going to be resolved now and a little later. So don't feel a certain way that these things happened and people are not being held accountable, because slowly but surely people are being held accountable. So we have actually two stories concerning the things that happened during that period of time. Hopefully, YouTube will let us talk about them and not remove this video for medical misinformation or whatever, because we're just relating the stories as they come out, not telling you what to do, not telling you anything other than the stories that have come out that are public. So hopefully we won't get tagged for medical misinformation. We got tagged once before. So we've already got a strike that's still in force that won't be settled until August. Hopefully we won't get another. Anyway, so just hang on and we'll be back right after these messages. Discover adventure flying. Chances are, if we ask you to name a sports car or a sports bike, you could do it. But what about a sport plane? The Icon A5 is meant not for commercial or commuter flight, but rather to enjoy the sheer adventure of flying. It turns flying from a mode of transportation to a sport. What flying was meant to be. So are you ready to start your A5 adventures? Owning an Icon A5 is as easy as flying. With a streamlined sales process, world-class customer service, and service and training partners across the country, purchasing and owning your A5 is a breeze. If you are interested in owning an A5, send your contact information to fightbackmedia@gmail.com. That's fightbackmedia@gmail.com. Y'all remember, it wasn't that long ago that there was a lot of forced, and when I say forced, I mean forced vaccines to workers. You guys know that I'm part-time in the amusement or theme park industry, and there were theme parks, Disney, that required their employees to get the vaccine, at least the first dose of the vaccine. Um, and the company that I worked for never did that, although they did encourage it, although they had it available on property for free, and they actually they did something I thought was even more weird. On your name tag, if you were vaccinated and could prove it or got the vaccination there, they had you put a gold star. I'm not lying to you. A gold star on your name tag. So they could tell at a glance who had gotten the vaccine and who hadn't. That's not creepy, is it? Yeah. But they had not been firing people for not doing it, or segregating us for not doing it, except for the gold stars. So creepy. Anyway, the city of Chicago has been ordered because to reinstate employees who were fired or face disciplinary action for not complying with Mayor Lori Lightfoot's COVID-19 vaccine mandate, and repay lost wages with interest, a state administrative law judge ruled. There were people who were fired who just said no for whatever reason, for religious reasons, for medical reasons, for bodily autonomy reasons. Said, no, I don't think I want that. I don't need it. I don't want it. Doesn't seem that bad to me. Now, the media portrayed those folks as some sort of right-wing, crazy, anti-vax, la 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 la. When there were just people who were like, I don't think I want that. I don't think I trust that. You know, we remember, move that over a little bit. We remember when Kamala Harris was asked if a vaccine came out during the Trump administration, would she take it? And she said no, because it was under the Trump administration. She doesn't trust him. Like Trump's back there, with a mortar and pestle, making vaccine. Get this dose to Kamala. It's stupid. Stupid, right? So, but as soon as there was administrative change, uh, they were all ready. Shoot me up, right? So this kind of behavior, although it may play in the Beltway, for the rest of the country, there are people who are going, huh? What? What? I don't know. Never mind. I don't know. No. If I don't have to do that, then I don't want to do that. A decision came after more than 20 unions representing city employees filed an unfair labor practices charges following the 2021 vaccine mandate. The case was brought before the Illinois Labor Relations Board. Here's what happened. In a 78-page decision, in combined cases brought by the Coalition of Unionized Public Employees and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Council 31, Administrative Law Judge Anna Hamburg-Gall found that although the city had the right to implement a vaccine requirement for its employees, it was obligated to negotiate with the unions over the effects of that policy. The effects of the policy the city imposed, including placing employees who did not report their vaccination status or refused to be vaccinated without proper exemption or on no pay status, later terminating their employment, both of which should have been negotiated with the unions until reaching an agreement or at an impasse, the administrative judge found. So what they did was they just went past all that and just did it and didn't negotiate with the unions. This was their mistake. Docking pay is not an inevitable consequence of vaccine mandates or reporting requirement, because no pay status is not the sole means by which the city could have enforced the policy. Docking somebody's pay because they didn't take the vaccine. No, No. Likewise, the city unilaterally changed the status quo in August of last year when it began terminating employees who hadn't complied with the policy, electing to pursue a far harsher approach than it had taken before against violators of its vaccination policy. So if last year, if you didn't take it, well, we'll just fire your butt. You're just out. It was made to intimidate people into doing what they wanted them to do. Although the policy on its face states that any violation of the policy could result in discipline up to and including termination, the city established a past practice of treating violations more leniently. So they had not done that before. This was all new. And this is something else. I think what people don't understand, this behavior was something else that a lot of people were questioning, like, why are they doing this? We didn't do this before with this or that or that or the other. Why are they doing this? The judge ordered the city to reinstate the affected employees with their personal records expunged, so they can't go back and use that again, and to compensate workers for any lost pay or benefits that resulted with 7% interest. Some people are going to come, people who haven't found other jobs are going to come back and they're going to make bank. Now, I don't know if you have another job already. Is the city going to still have to pay you your lost pay plus 7% when you already have another job? That would be yummy. The unions should be allowed to negotiate to keep any part of the policy they like, the judge said. Ruling affirms when an employer contemplates significant changes to the terms of employment, it has a duty to bargain in good faith with the union. The AFSCME Council 31 spokesman Andrew Lindahl said in a statement, in this case, the city did not do that. If you're going to change something up drastically, just sort of change the whole idea, they need to negotiate with the union. This is this is where a lot of these cities who have these public service unions, this is where they think that, and again, because the relationship is so buddy-buddy, hand in hand, watch my back, watch your back. And you have people moving, like in the teachers union, moving up from administration in the education side to the administration in the union side. They think that everyone's going to go along with it, it'll be fine, and you don't have these adversarial relationships. But when you do, while the case is separate from the one brought by the city's largest police union, the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 7 Union President John Cantanzara praised the ruling. The hope is that the labor board ruling, a citywide policy going forward, he said. So he hopes that this will get some police back on the street, because this is problematic. The city has 30 days to appeal the ruling from the labor board, which means the deadline comes after Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson will have been sworn in. So this may not be over. Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky cheered on the ruling. Gotta love it when the petty tyrants are given their comeuppance, he said on Twitter. Well, maybe. Well, I hope so. Wait a minute. I hope so. We're going to continue to cover the story and let you know how this all works out. We're going to take another break. And speaking of petty tyrants, Randy Weingarten, another union, gets asked a whole bunch of questions that maybe she can answer and maybe she can't. Watch the end of the video. Discover adventure flying. Chances are, if we asked you to name a sports car or a sports bike, you could do it. But what about a sport plane? Icon A5 is meant not for commercial or commuter flight, but rather to enjoy the sheer adventure of flying. It turns flying from a mode of transportation to a sport. What flying was meant to be. So are you ready to start your A5 adventures? Owning an Icon A5 is as easy as flying. With a streamlined sales process, world-class customer service, and service and training partners across the country, purchasing and owning your A5 is a breeze. If you are interested in owning an A5, send your contact information to fightbackmedia@gmail.com. That's fightbackmedia@gmail.com. Hey, welcome back to the Morning Report. Again, the Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Yesterday, the American Federation of Teachers President Randy Weingarten appeared in a House hearing held by the Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic to discuss the impact of school closures due to COVID-19. In the hearing, Weingarten was pressed about the union's influence on the federal government's during this decision-making process throughout the pandemic. In her opening remarks at the hearing, Weingarten claimed that in-person learning was the driving force behind the decisions made during the pandemic about school closures and reopenings. Once the questioning began, Subcommittee Chairman Representative Brad Winstrup, a Republican from Ohio, who is a doctor. Okay, so some of y'all can stop this. You people ain't not even doctors. They just asking questions because they're watching Tucker Carlson show. Who's a doctor? Asked Weingarten if the AFT ever provided suggestions to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention about school closures and reopenings. Weingarten claimed that the union suggested ideas, but did not specifically say what they were. She claimed that she couldn't remember when the union first met with the CDC because of her age. She noted that the Biden administration transition team first reached out to the union. Weingarten told Kentucky Representative James Comer that the union suggested concepts to the CDC regarding reasonable accommodations for teachers and that there should be a review of the policies if a new variant were discovered. It's unusual for a political union to have such role in the scientific guidance process, Comer said. Republican Representative Nicole Maliotakis, I can't pronounce these names, Maliotakis, there you go, from New York, shared that in her district, some schools were closed for nearly 2 years. And families believe the closures did a disservice to the family. 2 years. We are now, because of what my main job is, we are now dealing, so I pay attention to education. We're dealing with a bunch of children that didn't go to school for a year or a year and a half. Some people almost 2 years. And if they were in second or third or fourth grade, with few exceptions, their ability to read was incredibly impacted. As a matter of fact, we are still looking for a coffee sponsor if you want to pony up. Now, if you don't have to send any money, all you have to do is send some coffee. Get my email address, fightbackmedia.com. uh, fightbackmedia@gmail.com, fightbackmedia@gmail.com, and to say, hey, listen, where do I send the coffee? Then you'll be our coffee sponsor. That'll be very, very cool. Um, we have kids who don't know how to be in school. When I when I worked in public education, and when I had trouble with a student, I was told by a guidance counselor friend that something that I might want to do was go read their cumulative file. When we were allowed to read their cumulative file. Not everybody is in every district, and I don't even think they can read cumulative file in the district that I work in anymore. But what that did was that I didn't go checking out everybody's cum file so I could use things against them. I think that's what people were doing. But what I would do if I had trouble with a kid, I want to know a little bit about them. So I went and found out about them. And some of these kids, it was just amazing how they even made it to school, how they even got there. Some of the things that their past teachers had written and information that had been found out in police reports and psych evals and all this stuff. By the time the kid was 11, gee, Nettie, Jesus help us. Now I can't imagine these same group of kids who didn't have the structure of school for 2 years when they were 7 and 8, and now you're making them do now you're forcing them in that environment as if they did. Yeah, all hell's breaking loose. Yep, you're right. What you're seeing on TikTok, yep, all hell is breaking loose. Surprise, surprise. The representative said your union, as we have found through committee investigations, undoubtedly played a role in ensuring that these would remain closed far longer than they should have, she said. But after lobbying for and securing $122 billion in the American Rescue Plan for safely reopen schools, after $60 billion that have been allocated through the CARES Act, the American Federation of Teachers still continued to push for schools to be closed. Private schools opened a year earlier than the public schools they did in New York City. You got $190 billion to reopen schools safely. But guess what? As of November, do you know what percentage of that funding was actually used? The congressman asked. Then she then said only 15% was spent as of November. 50% of students in New York are failing their reading exams. 70, what did I just say? Of course they are. 70% are failing their math exams. 1 in 3 children can't read at grade level. New York is now lowering their test scores as a result. School closures had a lot to do with it. Here in my state, and you probably see this because they love to dog out Florida. Florida is the nation's whipping boy because y'all hate us because y'all want to be us. Um, that there are thousands of seniors who may not graduate. Well, they may not graduate because here's what happened. The standards for passing, I think the ACT and the SAT went up. Up. The standard went up. It was planned to go up. Not that the education went down, but the standard went up. And because of these school closures, even here in the state of Florida, that were never that were never want to make sure y'all know this, required by the state. They were all school districts, all individual school districts that made these decisions because the governor let them make these decisions. I don't know, sort of laissez-faire, hands off, let local government do what local government does. if there was a mistake, then Governor DeSantis wasn't as authoritarian as he's being accused of. Not nearly, because a lot of these lot of these school districts, I won't say small, because my school district is the eighth largest school district in the country, made these decisions, and now kids are struggling. Kids are struggling to graduate. Representative Debbie Lesko from Arizona questions Weingarten about school closures, pointing out that non-essential businesses were opening up before some schools did. In their exchange, it was revealed that Weingarten has a phone number directly to reach the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky. Why? Why does this particular teachers union? This is what I talked about in the segment before. This is why a lot of people, just regular folks who may or may not have degrees, who may or may not be doctors, who may or may not be infectious disease specialists, they're just working stiffs, are thinking, what the? Why does Randy Weingarten, the head of the American Federation of Teachers, have a direct number to Rochelle Walensky, who's the director of the CDC? What? Here's what she says. Lesko said, I don't have a direct number to Ms. Walensky, do you? Weingarten said this. I don't talk to representatives of the government. Do you have a direct number to Director Walensky? Lesko interjected. Do I have Director Walensky's direct number? Weingarten retorted. Yes. Yes, I have Director Walensky's direct number, she answered. Lesko said, well, hopefully she'll give it to me too. Thank you. See, so for most of us, we're thinking, this is some kind of Since lockdowns, there's been much lower academic performance. Of course, there's been. When you spend a year and a half, almost 2 years out of school, the academic performance is going to be less. Not, there's been an uptick in homeschooling, but I've said this about homeschooling since the beginning, and I still say the same thing. Not everybody can homeschool, and not everybody should. Teaching is not easy. Teaching is a set of skills. Teaching is not talent. It's a set of skills that not everybody possesses. Even with your own children, damn it, especially with your own children. Especially with your own children. So not everybody should be teaching. Now I know some of you traditionalists are going, oh, back in the day, it was up to the parents to educate their children before public schools. Yeah, I know, but there were church schools, and there was that local school with the school marm and the like. The people who were gifted in such, not necessarily of the knowledge that had to be related, but the ability to transfer that knowledge, to teach that knowledge. And they were incredibly led and directed by the wants and the need of the community, where these schools are not. So of course, these kids spend a year and a half out of school, and they come back to school, and guess what? Because of the way that things have been related to them, they have forgotten. They have forgotten how to behave in school. Um, the teachers aren't engaged. There's huge absenteeism. Why? Because going back to school, after not going for a while, is tough. You can't just flip the switch and then go back to what you were doing. It's not how it works. It's not how it works with people. The teachers, the administrators, the custodians, the lunchroom people, the kids. Of course not. You scared the crap out of them for 2 years. You told them you told the babies that if they got around grandma, they would kill their grandmother. You had kids freaked out. You had people freaked out for 2 years. You can't just flip the switch and everybody go back to normal like ain't nothing happened. So again, since lockdowns, um, we've talked about lower academic performance, absenteeism, mental health challenges have become prevalent among students and teachers, frankly, across the country. In 2022, a U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention study found that more than 40% of teenagers felt sad or hopeless during the pandemic. They were made to. They were made to. I cannot believe that you still have your job after the role that you and your organization played in the destruction of our children over the past few years. Representative Ronnie Jackson of Texas told Weingarten during the hearing. I think it's disgraceful that I think it's disgraceful, and I think you should be ashamed of what happened over the past few years, and you should take some responsibility for it. I won't read what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. I won't. Now, do I blame teachers for not working? No, because they were just as scared. They were just as terrified as everybody else, and because they are in that ilk, they are in that milieu of the talented 10th educated. They thought it you know incredible to think that, oh, this isn't anything. They couldn't think that. They dang sure couldn't say it. So they were stuck at home too with their skills waning. And Weingarten said, I don't remember if I talked to them or not. Oh, I don't know. My memory fails me because I'm too old. Everybody will get their comeuppance. We just have to stay focused, practice patience, come back to the morning report. Production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, I'll take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye bye now.